I'm Fran Blanche.
Oh, I was waiting for you to go. Here I am again. All right.
Oh, I'm not. That's my own little.
That's
thing.
your other thing. Yeah, I know.
That's the other. That's
well, I
the
did
other,
my patented deer in the headlights look.
That's the other channel.
All right. So you're Fran Blanche.
I'm Fran Blanche.
And I'm Bill Hurd.
And this is the Dinosaur Den again.
Because we're dinosaurs still.
It's number 2, baby. we made it to number 2. We did number 1, and now we're doing number 2. That's usually the way it goes. You do number 1, and then you do number 2.
So now they're sure we're counting not in or that we're not counting in binary because we've gone ahead and.
Well, it has many meanings. Doing, completing number 1 and then moving on to number 2 has many levels of interpretation.
It means the first one didn't kill you.
Yeah, true, but I'm thinking. Well, anyway. So anyway, so people know that I am Fran, and I'm not a real engineer, but I do play one on TV. So so here I am doing it again, acting like I know how to do stuff.
Well, you said you're lucky, or the luck you had, and that's the way I feel. I worked at Commodore in the 1980s, doing home computers, and I got the job through sheer luck. Just right place, right time. Why a hippie-ish high school dropout could end up in a role like that was just, fate of the cards. But then, it's keeping the job was the fun part. And I don't, of all of us, I don't think any of us were worried about losing our jobs. We were worried about not getting something done. That was the distinction, I think.
You were never worried about losing your job?
Not once while I worked there.
Oh, okay. So that's why everything just went to hell when you showed up and.
Yeah, I just get the hell out of the way.
So you were sort of immune. You couldn't be fired. You couldn't be replaced.
They had no way to get it done without me. So as soon as the project's done, sure, there's a target on my back. So I tended to, I do a lot of fishing for the first 2 months after a project's done.
Well, didn't you tell me about the high turnaround with jobs? Like back in those days, your job was like it had a finite, like there was a period of time.
Well, some people had a finite mentality. And so if you worked at a great place like Commodore, what would be next? And when I quit because I thought the place was going under faster than it did. So it still went under. It's just it took a lot longer to die, because the other guys that stayed, they loved it for the next 8 years, but that's in dog years. That's like 76 years.
So. Before we get rolling on Dinosaur Den number 2, we wanted to thank everybody for our launch. The first video it was launched last week. It's been 1 week. We've gotten over 600 subscribers and over 2,600 views for the first week.
That's cool.
For the first episode. So
that's cool.
Thanks everybody for it's not too bad a start for a show. There are some issues. As we did describe, we had some technical issues making the first episode, but also the first week of the new Dinosaur Den channel has been a little buggy because the comments weren't really working. Turns out, coincidentally, at the same time that we're trying to start this new channel and this new show, YouTube has been changing its platform. So they've been going through the YouTube system and changing the way that the channels are presented on, I guess different, because a lot of people are using phones.
So it's like media. When the highway guys work on the highway during rush hour.
Yeah, these are the cones. Yeah. So the comments weren't working hard
to use. At least.
Everyone knows who watches my other channel knows that late last year, like October or November last year, the Google Plus took over YouTube comments, and you had to have a Google Plus account to make a comment.
You don't like that?
I didn't like the idea that people were locked out of commenting if they didn't have a Google Plus account. I thought it was it's a
little fascistic or
it's like you'd like to watch this television program, but you have to buy this toaster first. Right. And I thought that was a little underhanded. But a couple months ago...
Well, you have to use this toaster. You don't have to buy it, but you have to take this toaster home with you.
Yeah, you have to watch the television with the toaster. And by the way,
the toaster will record things you see and do, and that's part of their collection.
Well, without getting into what Google is doing behind the scenes, the new comments weren't working, because usually I was I like to be able to comment on comments because people ask questions. There were some questions people asked in the comments section that I couldn't actually comment on because the option to comment on that comment just disappeared, and I didn't have the ability to comment on comments for like a week. Well, it seems it's back, but it's not back for everybody. There are still some people, and I don't know why. Maybe some people can chime in why this is, but some comments can't be commented on. It's selective. So, so I can comment on some comments, but not all of them. So I haven't really responded to comments, but we're trying to work that out. So if your comment doesn't get responded to, it might be because Google doesn't let me. I don't know, but it's still being worked out with comments. But thank you for making the comments on the channel, and
if the first person that writes in with the number of times she said the word comments in 3 minutes there, we'll get you some. We'll get you some
well,
solder.
I don't think I've said the word like yet because when we did the first. Oh, I have speech problems. So we were having so many difficulties here in the lab just trying to record that my mind was everywhere, and I kept saying the word like and you know. So
well, my grandmother used to tell me it was the long hair.
Yeah.
It's in from my ears, so that's.
I can't blame it on the hair, but I definitely blame it on the brain that's inside of the hair. It's definitely a brain issue.
Inside pushing out.
Yeah, it's the brain issue. But I will try not to repeat unnecessary words.
We have a new website.
We do. franinbill.com, which is in the description.
Bill.
Yeah, and I'll put it like right.
Hyphens.
I'll put it like
remember
right,
hyphens?
Right here. franinbill.com.
It's upside down.
Oh, sorry.
So.
There we go.
Yeah, if you have an idea for a better domain, look, we're open to that too. That's just what we grab.
Are we really going to change the domain, or? But it's fine. But anyway, the website's there. We've got a mail-in address, and we've got viewer mail. So we got stuff to show off this episode that got sent in. So we got a address to mail in. If you've got stuff hanging around your lab that you want us to tinker with or show off that you want to put in the mail, please do, and go to the website, get that address. I'm not going to put it up here because, you know.
What she's saying is there's still room in her workspace, and so she wants to fill it in with
yeah,
some.
I got like this much room, so you want to fill that with some junk, send it in. But
space news. Space
news, yeah, because there's actually a very important piece of space news this week. For people who are super geeky, you already know about this, but the ICEE-3. Okay, this is an amazing story because this is really something about our modern age clashing with the old age, because we grew up in the golden age of space exploration when the United States was building all kinds of spacecraft to do all kinds of crazy missions, and a lot of those missions got abandoned because funding ran out or whatever. And this is an example of a mission that was launched in 1978. It was called the International Sun-Earth Explorer 3. And it was a large satellite that was intended to go into a solar orbit and observe the sun and observe the Earth. And it was gonna, because it was going to navigate through the solar system, they built this rocket, they built this satellite with motors, rocket engines, and with the idea that it could change its orbit and it could kind of fly around the solar system and take advantage of gravity
frequent
assist.
Flyer miles, everything.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it was on a long-term mission to observe the sun, and but that mission ended apparently in 70. It was launched in 78, but they say that by the 80s that mission was over, and it was repurposed as an explorer, and it was sent to a comet.
I was going to say, this isn't the one they ran into the comet, is it?
No, it's not, but they did send this one to a comet, which I cannot pronounce, but it's Giacobini-Zinner, I can't pronounce it, but they sent it to intercept a comet in 1985. Bill's going to try this Italian. So, and then it was so it went and saw the comet, and then it was abandoned, and it was commanded by the Deep Space Network, which apparently got revamped. So in '99, the Deep Space Network, they threw out all the transmitters and antennas that were used to communicate with the satellite, and it's been adrift in space in the solar system. The last commands that were sent to it in 1986, after it did the comet flyby, apparently set on a course to be on a long trajectory that would come back to the Earth-Moon system in August of 2014. And this was a 17-year sort of orbit.
Okay.
So comes to the present day.
So it probably didn't really leave the solar system on that one.
No, it's been drifting around. It's just
right, but I mean, it didn't probably get way out to the Oort cloud or anything like that.
No, it's been in the inner solar system.
Okay.
But it was set on a trajectory that would bring it into the Earth-Moon system.
I got you.
Again, this year. So a fella found out about this. This is Mr. Wingo. His name was Dennis Wingo, an engineer, an entrepreneur, and he set up a company called SkyCorp in an attempt to reclaim this spacecraft, which is now up for grabs. I mean, no one really claims ownership. It's been adrift in space. The Deep Space Network had gotten together in 2008 to try and listen for the craft. They found that it was still sending out a carrier signal. Its onboard electronics were still running.
Is it solar based or?
It is solar based, and because it was intended to be a planetary sort of explorer, it has lots of hydrazine. They put lots of fuel on board, so it's got fuel left. And so he set up this company to try and reclaim this spacecraft. So they did crowdfunding and got sourced to get money to basically repilot this spacecraft. It's coming through the neighborhood in August. I think it's going to do a flyby in mid-August past the Earth and Moon, and they want to do a burn to get it into an Earth orbit or a lunar orbit, and keep it local and start doing stuff with it.
Oh, so they're trying to reclaim something that's useful. They're not doing it just because it can be done.
Probably both. I mean, I guess it's cool to have your own spacecraft that's already out there.
Yeah.
You don't have to put it in orbit because it's already out in space, and so.
And they're not in America, the people doing this, or
they are. Yeah, actually.
So they may have to pay income tax on the liability that they've assumed when they.
Not only are they in America, but they are in a repurposed McDonald's. So they set up. It says here they set up their offices in a repurposed McDonald's that is just outside of the Navy, the Moffett Air Station, Navy Air Station. So apparently it's like really an American effort because they're actually in a fast food joint doing this. So apparently come August they're going to try to get this spacecraft into a parking orbit and start doing stuff with it. So how cool is that?
Yeah.
That's real DIY space exploration.
I'm impressed that they took the time to know it was still transmitting and stuff.
Well, I encourage you to Google or search for the articles about this because this article is actually very long. But there's actually a lot of involved in them trying to get this because no one really knows exactly what the coding for
the thing occurred to me as the first person to talk to it where it should change the SSL certificate on it. But they probably didn't use those back then. So
apparently the spacecraft doesn't even have an onboard computer. It's all flown by wire. So you basically have to issue it instructions on what to do. It does that, and then it just and then it's waiting for another set of instructions. So it really is like fly by wire.
Okay.
So, which is good in a lot of ways because there's very little to go wrong. But it's also made it so that every transmission
couldn't do anything new.
Well, every transmission they send to the spacecraft is critical because if they get it to do one thing and then it loses communication or it can't change its something goes wrong, they fire the engine this way or an attitude control this way and something sticks. That's it. So I think that they've been trying to make sure that they get everything right before they start doing anything with it. So, but it's a very interesting read. I encourage people to read about it.
So we were thinking about doing a little section called Chicken Lips here, and I haven't explained to Fran what that is. But that kind of ties into with the Commodore Vegas Expo, Convex, that's what it's called, which you can find out more about at portcommodore.com. But one of the things I'll be doing is a video on this, if you can zoom in. There's maybe 3 of these in the world. This is mine. And if we zoom in, can you go right here? What this is, Commodore looked to make their own LCD machine back before the Commodore 128. So there's a whole story that goes along with this. And Fran, if you look at that shape right there, yeah, chicken lips. That's what the Commodore people call it. So that's our inside name. That's
inside stuff, Bill.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, maybe see you at Convex, or check out portcommodore.com. All right, so you said you had some viewer mail, or what do you have here?
Yes, viewer mail, baby. It's not the Dave Jones pile, but it is a piece of viewer mail. Yes, actually this is cool because this is someone we know, Jonathan Chapman. He was a guy that we met at the VCF East. He had a really cool briefcase computer, which is actually on my part 1, I think, or part 2. It's on one of the VCF vlogs that I did where I showcased his little computer. But he had seen my video about displays, and it turns out that he had some really cool, like, early LED displays, and he sent me a bunch to look at. Yeah. So
you said Monsanto?
I don't know.
Because I was going to say that's what we think with the very early. I think
first.
Of Monsanto and Fairchild and those.
Monsanto was kind of officially the first because they had the first commercially available LEDs. And the ones that I showcased on my vlog, I think of the Monsanto MB1. I have one of those, and I also have the Fairchild FLV100. They're both pretty much the first LEDs that were commercially available, but they were also before.
They were crude though. They had pilot lights and stuff. You couldn't just give them voltage and like read by them or something.
Yeah. They had a crank start. Yeah. But
we call that potential energy, kids. Unless you drop it, then.
Yeah. Oh, I miss the old wrist breaker. But I don't know. I mean, I figured we'd take a look. So there's some.
All right. So
some envelopes.
You get them mounted.
Some mystery envelopes. So let's see here. Yeah, we got a microscope.
Let me make a scene here.
Okay, so while Bill is getting the scene set up.
This won't be in it till
what
I get
is
to
that?
see me. Yeah.
Well, this is an infrared reader, which I'm assuming is a transistor. You can take a look at that. Maybe we can put that under the scope. But it's I would be willing to bet it's probably a little transistor die in there. There we go. With the microscope, dig that. Talk about high tech. Got a microscope. So this is the infrared detector, which it's got 3 leads, so I'm willing to bet there's probably a transistor die in there. But let's see if we can get close up.
Yeah.
Looking down. Can we look through the lens of the? There we go. There we go. Are we running? Yes. Look at that.
Talk quick so I don't move the flashlight.
That's good. Well, no, that's the die, but I only see 2 leads, so unless maybe the maybe
substrate, maybe.
Yeah, because you see the silver, frame. Yeah. Maybe that's the 3rd lead.
I seem to remember too that we used to float the base, and it would turn on like a transistor. It had base current injected, but it would really be the light. But that's just my memory. I might have that. It might have been in a different configuration than a common emitter.
Are we back? Okay, so that's the infrared and detector and socket. Let's put that back in here. There's nothing really to see with that, but here's interesting. This is it says JAN. It's a JAN part. That's Joint Army Navy. Mil spec in a TO18. This is interesting. This is a red LED. That's a different case. I don't know which is which. Oh, no, this is a different one. This is it. I think that's in the wrong bag.
So
this
one
is.
I'm showing the wrong one.
Well, that has a clear lens, and this has a ruby lens. Oops. This is the ruby
that's
lens.
cool.
That's out of focus. There it is. I wonder if that's a ruby crystal.
Is it?
It's a ruby colored. I don't know if it's okay. So this is the which packet is this? This is the Jan. This is the TO18 Jan mil spec, and it says it's a 1N60. What's the one side? I can't read that. 1N609. So LED. Alright, well, there's a couple other LEDs, but this one is in particular. This one. This is a. Oh, we should cut back. Oh, okay. This one here. This is a diode 35 case diode with instead of having a regular diode junction, it's got a little LED in there, and it says it's a green. So, I guess the gonna have to bend the leads for this. But I guess the purpose of this would kind of be specialized, I would imagine. So here's the. Hang on, let me get in the shot here. There's. Oh, it is glowing. Look at that. Just the.
That might be maybe a just an on indicator too. That.
But it's so faint. It's so faint.
Well, I'm being nice.
So how much current are we putting for this? It's.
Well, I don't know what the forward voltage drop is on it, but
like
let's say it's like 2. It'd be about 6 milliamps.
Yeah. Okay. So it's.
Yeah, I don't want to take an old diode up past.
No. Well, but that's
past 10.
But that's still pretty ample. I doubt this would be used for displays. It's so small. I mean, we're looking at.
But you could look at a circuit and tell that it's powered.
True. That's true.
All right, so here's an interesting part, and I say that because there's no markings on here. It's an LED and a DO35 35 case.
DO35.
Yeah, which is just a standard glass. At least they gave us a polarity band, and this makes kind of a cute little power indicator. But I really don't know for sure what the original intention is, other than a diode in this case. So I'd say if anybody knows more about this, I'll try and find information on it, but without a marking on there. And we don't have any other information, right?
No.
All right.
Mystery.
So
but can we see is the dye visible if it's not on? If the power's not on? Can we see the dye in there? I mean, can you make sense of that at all? I mean, I can't really see anything.
We call that a mess.
Well, this is a. I wonder if this one. You should look at this on the mic. All right. So this one, just a regular. Ooh, looks like a regular water clear LED, sort of. But it says it's an AND 256CR dual dye red. So I was thinking that a dual dye would mean that these would have 2 LEDs sort of in opposite polarity for alternating current, because some of those LEDs were made for telephone days that would run on alternating current, and so you take 2 dyes, you put them in opposite polarity, so that as the current goes back and forth, it stays bright, and the LEDs are going on and off. But so we put this on there thinking that it probably maybe would be that way, but turns out we're wrong. So switch to the microscope and you can see the.
It's on 2.
Oh,
I'm sitting there thinking. I kept hearing the word 1, so I kept punching a 1.
So there you can see the 2 dyes, and they're in parallel. So it's actually just 2 dyes, 1 LED, and.
This is how you made brightness back then.
Yeah, so it's actually, I guess it's
maybe
double bright. I guess conceivably it's double bright. It's not very. It actually is not very bright.
And it's not very diffused either, too. So
Yeah,
maybe there's a mechanical reason for lighting something, but like a switch or something.
Huh.
But
there you go.
But I don't think so. I think it's just dim,
it's
old.
Two dim LEDs making one not so quite so dim package. So it's pretty pretty, and you got 2 red LEDs in there doing their business. So there. So wow, two for one. There's one more in here. I think that's interesting. This one, and Jonathan wrote on the envelope. It just says "very old red." That's all it says, very old red, and it is actually very old. It's in a gold case, sort of. Gold case with a clear lens. But what makes this interesting, just looking at it, is that it's got some kind of very ornate die mount in there. So I'm gonna switch it over to the microscope. Ooh, look at that. That is tiny. But look at the gold. Look at that gold mount. A tiny little die on that. So tiny. That is a tiny dot. Oh, look at that. But look at that. Oh, look at all the gold. That looks like, you don't think that's a solid gold tab.
I don't.
Why? But that is a very ornate mount. I have several of these, 1960s LEDs, and none of them have that kind of big tab like that. It's just really weird. I'm gonna get a broader shot of just how dim that is. There you go. How's that? How's that for a dot? Microscopic. That is so small. But Dave Jones would say that's tiny tot. It's tiny tot. Look at that. It is so tiny. Totally unusable except for laboratory research use. Oh wow. Okay, so thanks, Jonathan. Those were really cool.
Yep.
And yeah, if you got neat stuff you want us to...
If you have parts older than us.
Which is probably not possible.
Well, solid state. If you have solid state parts older than us, and hit that window.
If you've got parts that are made out of rocks and bearskins, send them in.
Yeah.
Stone knives and bearskins. So, but yeah, go to our website at www.franinbill.com, and we've got the mail-in address there. You can ship us stuff in the good old U.S. mail, and we will...
Do we give it back?
No, we do not. Unless, of course, you
really
include return shipping and really want it back. But then again, why would you send it to us in the first place? So, but thank you, Jonathan, for cool LEDs.
Thanks. You. So what do you have? What's this?
Okay, so this is the legendary and magnificent Fender Dimension 4. Thank you. Yes. And
God, you just channeled my sister. That's real scary.
And this is the
Holy.
Okay, so let's just assume that no one knows what this is, but back in the 1960s, it was like the real heyday for having really cool effects, and delay effects were really popular and sought after, and people might know about the Echoplex and WEMs and various tape delays, and we're going to do those in a future episode, but this is sort of a forgotten sidestep to the whole delayed effect family of effects, and this is the static echo, sometimes called the oil can echo. It was originally made by Telray, and some interesting background with static echo. It was yes, Ray Lebo was the guy who originally patented, and this is all online. You can see the online patents for the Telray static echo. But he came up with this design for making a kind of audio delay, which relies on capacitance. And as we'll show inside, this little clever device was something that he was making up apparently in his garage, or it was like a really kind of a weird operation, but he was making these little delay units, and companies like Fender and others incorporated them. And
you'd use this to fill out the music just like you do reverbs and stuff, or would you do it more for special effects?
Well, as we'll hear, the effect that this puts out is unusual for a number of reasons, but it's very lo-fi because it's basically using capacitance. So it's essentially just a revolving capacitor, and we'll pop it open and show how it works. Now I'm gonna.
I was gonna say we've seen revolving inductors. You know, we use those every day, but I haven't. You just said revolving capacitor. I didn't even think about it like that.
I think I was trying to describe what this does to you on the phone, and you were like, you're saying, I don't know what the hell you're trying to describe.
Oh,
So it's like, well, yeah, it doesn't really make any sense, but it's actually like really super simple. In fact, it's so super simple that you wonder why people haven't been doing this for like a long time. But
unless it sounds like crap.
Which is the reason why it hadn't been done for a long time. It had to wait until the 1960s when people really kind of were in, let's say, a different frame of mind, let's say an altered state of...
Possibly several of those at the same time.
Yes, an altered state of acceptance of what would be possible in a delay. People had to, like, the Times had to come up to the static delay. But yeah, let's take a look at the back. Zoom on in.
Oh,
yeah, you don't have that Sinclair sitting around. We could shove it in there for a doorstop. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know where it is.
All right. So here's the back. This is the Telray. That's the Echo, and that's the Fender part, which is basically just a preamp. It's just got two little tubes in there. It's just going to be a little loop for the preamp and also a little playback amp for the Echo. But there's the oil can, hence the name, the oil can Echo. It really is an oil can. Actually, I think it's actually a paint can. More specifically, it's like a little. It's actually a tin can. There's a little spring here and like an eccentric cam that gives the as the mechanism turns, with the motor would just turn it like nice and smooth. But this little spring attached here to a cam there, it gives a kind of an eccentric motion, so it kind of has this, so it's moving kind of like that, where it's slowing on one half the turn and then speeding up on the other, and that's one of the things that gives the Dimension 4 its unique warbly sound. So let's pull this out so we can take a closer look at it.
Well, I'll ask you later. I was going to say how many were mono, bass, and stereo high frequency. Go ahead.
Here we go. Oh, there we go. Oh. Ta-da! It is out. It's got two 12AX7s for the preamp, which is pretty ubiquitous, which is cool. It is a Fender, so of course they're going to use Fender tubes like you'd find in any Fender amp. And there's the Telray, which this is interesting. Look on the side. Date code. There we go. There we go. May 7th, 1968. That's yeah. And then there's another date code, June 24, 68. So I guess D and I don't know. It's that's interesting. So here it is. 68 was when this was made, and this is that eccentric cam there. So as this turns, the spring is holding back the motor on one half the turn, and then after it gets over the apex, it assists in yanking it back the other way. There we go. All right. So there's the drive wheel. And there's the shaft going into the mysterious oil can, which is actually, I think, a paint can. And there's the motor, really low tech, which is kind of what makes these things so weird. There's a little breathe hole in the top there. It's probably the reason these things always leaked if you turned them upside down. Because if you happen to put this thing upside down in your car, all the oil would leak out. Seems like there's a little lapse in the reasoning of the design there. We have the breather hole in the top, but hole in the top where the oil would drain out. Oil, you say? What is oil doing in a delay? Well, these things are called the oil can Echoes because they had oil in them, a special kind of oil, actually. It's, and one of the there's mythology about these Telray Echoes, and one of the legends that when I was, a younger, people would talk about who had never had one of these was that, well, they'd always be filled with oil. Like this mounting board is completely saturated with oil, and concern in the 80s about PCBs and from old transformers and stuff, because people knew that old transformers sometimes were filled with this really, really bad stuff called PCBs. And so for a while people were afraid to handle these things because they thought that they were probably going to give you cancer. But it turns out that the oil that they put in these what didn't have PCBs in it was an oil was made by Union Carbide. It was called Yukon 65.
So no printed circuit boards in here.
Nope, it's all point-to-point soldered, and it's open.
I was
chassis.
doing a PCB joke. I'm sorry.
Oh, the piece. Okay, I get
Sorry.
it. Yeah. No PCBs.
Yep.
Totally. But one of the difficulties, if you happen to find one of these, is that when you get them, because there's a hole in the top and because they leak, it's not going to have any oil in it. And if it doesn't have the oil in it, it's really not going to work, because the oil is there not only to lubricate the surfaces that are moving around in the delay, but the oil that's used in this is the Yukon 65. It actually has a special kind of conductivity, so it's not only there to lubricate, but it's also there to assist in the diminishing of the signal as it rotates. So in order to get this up and running as it should, we're going to have to put some more oil in it, and because we don't have any Yukon 65 sitting around, we're going to have to mix up some. So
what are you mixing up?
Well, they say that, well, they never really tell you what Yukon 65 is, but it is a water-soluble, apparently edible fluid, because they also use it in cosmetics. So
margarine.
So it's probably mineral oil. So the best substitute, if you're going to mix it up yourself, is going to be just some mineral oil that you will add to just a little bit of alcohol, denatured alcohol or methyl alcohol. Just add a little bit of alcohol to it until it has the right amount of highly resistive conductivity, which they say in the specs should be about 100 megaohms per cubic centimeter.
So how'd that work with a hole then? Well, you would think the alcohol would, being a VOC, would kind of just boil off over time no matter what.
Exactly, which is another reason why these...
tape on it, maybe?
No, it doesn't appear so. No. Although, I don't know. No, I don't think so. I mean, I'm not going to say no, because this is from 1968. Maybe there was tape on it.
There wouldn't be tape on it if there had been.
Yeah. So, but these are notorious for drying up, and so it might have been, at the time, maybe they thought that these things would be serviced, periodically. But
because that'd be where you'd put it in then.
It would be where you put it in. It'd also be where it all comes out.
Yeah. I have a transmission like that.
Yeah. But the original oil, it is somewhat volatile, meaning that it is odoriferous, which is, some people have said that they have luck replenishing these things with brake fluid, which I think is a terrible idea, because brake fluid has... It's highly volatile, and the
only thing worse would be transmission.
Let's zoom in. So I turned this around and found it's got this little neon bulb here on the inside where no one can see, and we looked at the schematic. And there is a neon bulb.
There's two, right?
Yeah, there's two.
I didn't think that'd show up. Cool.
Oh, cool. Well, this is obviously the pilot lamp, but here's that other bulb right there. And you were saying, so what?
My thought would be that might be suppression of, if there's any commutation going on over here in the motor, you get inductive kick, and we can actually do that. One show is light a neon bulb that runs off 60 volts, so you can light it with a 1.5 volt amp, 1.5 volt battery. Because when you remove current flow from an inductor, it resists a change of inductance, and it does that by spiking a voltage. And so this would keep spiking from occurring. It would clamp it at 60 volts here, meaning on this side, hopefully these spikes aren't getting through into the amplifiers and stuff. So I don't know what this ratio is, but enough that 60 volts clamping it there makes it so it's not going to be, a volt or something in your audio.
So the 22K resistor they have in the schematic here obviously is replaced by this trim pot, which is internal. So there must be...
That might be a way to load it to make it into a crude, how much it mixes in, right? If you shorted more and more across this, you wouldn't have as much voltage to go into the other side.
Okay. Oil can. Oil can what? You know the joke.
Okay. Oil can what?
Oil can what? Okay, so
starting.
This is the can that gives the Oil Can Echo its sort of nickname, although it is clearly a paint can, not an oil can.
Looks like a cat food can.
It's a can. It's got the,
It's just a can.
The press-on lid and everything. So so we're gonna. Ooh.
I can hear you at home. It's just a can. Move on.
Where's that flat screwdriver? Moment of truth. One screwdriver, one can. All right.
And a nervous workbench owner.
Yeah, well, we've taken some precautions here for any spillage that might occur, but I'm pretty sure this is bone dry. Pretty sure.
It's like Raiders of the Lost Ark here, where they open it, things come flying out.
I forgot the sandbags. We're screwed.
The flesh boils off our bones.
Well, that could happen. That's why I'm wearing the gloves, because you never know.
You're wearing the gloves. I'm holding the camera.
You're not touching the... Oh, can't I go? Oh! Oh, look at that. Really low. And then, yeah, there you go. That's the spinning disc right there. And that's spinning disc. It's an aluminum disc, and it's been oxidized. So the aluminum oxide is acting as the dielectric. Yeah,
yep.
Dielectric. And then you can see one of the electrodes on the right side there, kind of rubbing. It's kind of making contact. So there's two electrodes in there. One is writing the signal, the other is reading the signal, and as the disc spins, and the fluid is supposed to be, you know, you just are going to put enough fluid just to so that the bottom of the disc is submerged, and so as the disc rotates, it'll draw up the fluid and it'll lubricate the surface, theoretically. So we just have to mix up enough oil just to fit in this little recess, maybe, you know, 1/4 inch deep, to be able to fire it up and get it to work. Whoa, there we go. So I've brought some regular mineral oil. It's kind of baby oil, so it's got some perfume in it, but you know, I figure it's not going to do.
It's a hot day.
Yeah, it's a hot day. So, and some regular denatured alcohol, or exactly denatured alcohol, which is basically just methyl alcohol. I guess it's just or maybe it's a combination of methyl and alcohol.
They add a thing to it to make it unpotable, or whatever the word on Jeopardy is.
Well, yeah. Well, methyl alcohol is pretty much poison
right.
as it is. So I figured it's just pure methyl alcohol, but it doesn't really say.
So one of my hobbies is playing with fiberglass and epoxies, and maybe one day I'll even get my car painted. So we've got some graduated cylinders here in cups and stuff, and I'm going to run away from the subject and leave Fran to do the mixing. I'll work the camera if you need to.
Yeah, well, okay, so I got regular baby oil. And,
do you have like manly oil?
yeah.
Tokarashi.
I don't have that on hand. Maybe you can come up with some manly oil if you've got some lying around, some extra lying around.
It's WD 30 weight. Yeah,
30
that's
weight,
manly oil.
50 weight. It's manly. Okay, so I really don't know how we're gonna mix this, but I just figure I'll make about a centimeter deep.
Yeah, you got.
Alright, so here we go. Some methyl alcohol. And I'm thinking a very small, like just a few drops. And
I'm trying to get as close as possible. Alright, give it a good mix.
Yeah.
Give me my paper towel back. Thank you.
Alright.
Yeah, there's no...
I'm getting a little more liberal.
Yeah, because if we're going to hear anything at all, we need to err on the side of conductivity, I'm thinking.
Yeah. Well, if it's too conductive, it won't work.
Right.
So if it's if there's any kind of continuity at all, it probably will function.
Okay.
But I probably wouldn't want to add more than that.
Okay.
But maybe if I just wonder if the soapy residue would ruin the echo, though.
I have saponifier.
Oh, okay. Oh, that would be better. Just a drop of emulsifier.
Right. I just didn't want to contaminate the bottle. And you know, with all the crap I mix, yeah, you see, I'm the one making the mess, but then I'm very aggressive at this, and partially because of mixing resins and stuff. You know, you do it yourself. How you really go for the no pockets of crap.
Right. Well,
that stay sticky and.
Oh, that looks like.
Yeah, I was gonna say, and you get a color change then too if you can get it.
Take a reading on that. It's milky, so that looks like it's blended.
Or getting more blended.
Oh, It's trying to read something.
Is
It does. It definitely looks like it's blended.
All right, give it a shot.
Yeah. What's the worst that can happen? So I'll use
and
this.
and if this doesn't work, we'll be simulating it with a VST plugin.
Why don't you hold the cable? Okay. Almost. I can see that the electrode there. It's not quite touching it. So now we're right up at the edge here. So I can see the level there.
It's getting close. Yeah.
Okay. Well. Okay, there it is. See that when it stops, it comes down. So.
Yep.
Okay. This. All right. It's getting on the. Oh, okay. It's freewheeling much better. So it's lubricating.
Good.
All right. You can feel it getting slippery.
Now, where'd you get the idea about the soap?
It just came to me because we thought emulsifier, and in one of the old tricks in records, because when you're playing old vinyl, sometimes you get
It'd start generating heat from the needle and stuff.
Well, no, when you're playing old vinyl,
right.
Mildew and such will get down deep in the groove,
right,
and some of the static that you hear, the static does cause crackling, but there's also mildew crackling, which is, you just, the grooves get filled with crud. And one of the old tricks, if you got a really noisy record that has a lot of surface noise, just can't clean it out, is that you take some distilled water and add just a drop of soap to it to slick it up. And you could use any kind of like photo flow or any of those kind of things, but the old legendary thing was just a little bit of a Dove soap,
right,
99.9% pure, whatever, and
0.3, yeah.
right, just makes it a little slicker, and then brush that on the record and play it wet.
And is the idea there that the needle then cleans out the groove for you?
Well,
or
no,
I guess the pressure in front of the needle would.
It lubricates the stylus in the groove, and it drops the noise by lubricating the
right.
contact between the groove. So there are some old records that I've made recordings of that were unlistenable that I have recorded wet by playing it wet.
So you it's not like you're fixing it for
No.
from then on. You're just saying that's
right.
how to.
It's just for
and
the
see,
play.
that's why I was thinking you were actually
No.
cleaning the. Notice you say stylus, I say needle.
Oh, there it is. Okay, there we go. So there's the lubricant on the wheel.
Yep.
Getting in there, and I can feel it's nice and slippery. I can feel it. So we're going to give this a try and fire it up. Are you feeling more like enhanced? Like is your spirit like on a different plane of existence? Are you is your mind being expanded, Bill?
Are you asking me if I'm experienced?
Have you ever been experienced?
I believe so.
I have. You can sort of hear it. Well, obviously, from the crunchy, unless this is the Captain Crunch edition.
Right, I was going to say,
there's obviously some kind of issue.
It works perfect!
It works perfect if you're like really tripping balls, baby. No, there's obviously some kind of issue with the. There's a distortion. It's probably. I mean, we don't have the time to go in the electronics, but there's obviously an electronical issue. So we can hear the Dimension 4 in there somewhere.
Yeah.
It's still going. So, yeah, some work to be done on this. It's not quite 100%, but you can definitely hear the echoing.
Well, essentially, it's 45, 50 years old, and it used oxidation as part of its mechanism.
Yeah, 1968.
Yeah, usually oxidation gets worse. Maybe this oxidation got better, and it's not working as well for us. But
it can also
45 years old.
Well, it can also be the oil we put in could be affecting.
Could be any of those.
It could be that maybe it's not conductive enough, or it could be some of the additives we put in to emulsify it. Who knows? But definitely some more work.
You know what? I'll bet the sound we're hearing was heard while the people were designing this. They probably happened into some of the instances to create this.
We may never know. So, okay, so anyway, that's it for the Dinosaur Den number 2. A little crunchy, but we are,
Well, so are the hosts. Fried, crispy critter, you end up crunchy.
it's true.
Yep. She's showing off that she has all her fingers now.
Most of them. This is your brain on Verilog.